But what would he have to gain by faking a story like this? Do these people out there have a track record of faking scenes of mass destruction for political gain? The answer is yes, and the footage you're about to see is damning to say the least. Over the past 3 years, there's been at least 5 different videos that have surfaced from terrorist outlets in Syria depicting scenes of atrocities that were staged for public syndication. This brings new definition to the term fake news, and while hundreds of thousands of people have lost their lives in the civil war in Syria, most of them have been at the hands of the terrorists as a direct result of terror activities, as a result of the people that are bringing you footage like this. Most people have forgotten that both the former Director of Defense Intelligence and current Congresswoman Gabbard have both clearly stated that the Obama regime, Hussein Obama, was directly responsible for ISIS. Every beheading, every prisoner blown up, drowned, thrown off a building were war crimes facilitated by the Obama regime. Other terror groups such as the Turkestan Islamic State are being run by the Sultan of Turkey, and even more terror groups are being directed by our very own Senator John McCain. These 3 players, Obama, Erdogan, and John McCain, are responsible for the mass killings of hundreds of thousands of people in Syria. And they've done it for regime change. They've done it for oil. The locals in Syria will tell you this war is not a civil war. It's an invasion by an army of mercenaries to destabilize Syria. And the footage you're seeing on TV is meant to manipulate you so that you'll once again support a rich man's war.
This is not a civil war in Syria. That's probably the first thing we heard, and we heard it over and over again. It is not President Assad against his own people. It is President Assad and the Syrian people all together in unity against outside forces, outside mercenary forces, terror organizations.
Known terrorist sympathizer John McCain visited Turkey just weeks before the sarin gas attack in Syria, an attack that occurred just 10 miles away from the Turkish border. Both Turkey and McCain are heavily invested in terror operations in Syria for the purpose of monetary gain. Big oil links to McCain reinforce the fears that the war in Syria is nothing more than just another war for oil. This map here shows us the competing Russian and McCain interests for oil pipelines. The Russian interests bring oil from Iran into Europe, whereas the McCain pipeline brings oil from the Middle East into Turkey. These pipelines are worth billions in yearly income, and the competing pipelines leave Syria in the crosshairs. Syria, of course, supports the Russian pipeline, and that's where this current sarin attack comes into play. Turkish members of parliament have come on the record recently stating that Turkey has supplied terrorists in Syria with chemical weapons. The New York Times reports over 50 chemical attacks have recently occurred in terrorist-occupied territory.
Tell me a little bit more about the phone conversation you had